did you get started in the logistics industry?
By chance. And I'm glad I had the opportunity. I was working in a completely different industry, and I was just looking for a change, and I posted my resume to Monster, I think it was, and I got a call from Algic Software, and just met with the VP of the company. It felt right, felt interesting, and that was my start.
Wow, awesome. So was there a special event or something that made an impact on you that made you commit to the logistics industry?
Question. So I don't know that it was a certain event that made me commit to the industry. I think the transportation industry was changing a lot. I started in 2007, and that was a very interesting time, at least from my perspective in the industry, because it was the beginning of the technology really emerging. The industry is, if not the oldest, one of the oldest industries in the country, and it was very antiquated because of the World Wide Web and the way that technology was up and coming. There was a lot of growth and opportunity, a lot of energy, a lot of new technology emerging. And when I started in 2007, it was really the precipice of that. So there was so much new and exciting. Starting out at Algic, we were one of the first web-based software systems, a TMS, for brokers, where most of them were standalone. So it was difficult, but I was passionate about it, and a lot of the people at Algic were very passionate about it too. So I think I just really came into the right industry at the right time, met a lot of great people, networking at the TIA, a lot of customers, and it was just very welcoming there. So it felt very comfortable, and it was always very exciting.
Awesome. In today's world, what role do you see women or diverse leadership have in business, and especially in our space today?
So in 2008, I guess, was my very first TIA conference. And I remember looking around the room, and the TIA was a lot smaller membership back then as well. So I guess it was probably close to 14, 15 years at that point. And what I loved about it was that there were so few women, because people knew who I was, right? So it was easy for them to remember who I was and to make a name for myself. What I noticed through the years is how many more women were joining the industry. So the opportunities expanded naturally, I think. More women came into the industry, perhaps as different types of technologies were incorporated into the industry, whereas perhaps before it was really just the freight brokers, the 3PLs, and the trucking companies. But now there are so many other industries connected into the logistics industry that it was a natural progression. When companies or industries say we need more women or we need more X, it's like, well, how do you get the same qualified person into the industry? We don't want to just hire people just because they fit or check a particular box. We want to make sure that they are well skilled. What I've seen, as we were just talking earlier about where I went to college, I remember when I went to college, there wasn't a logistics industry that people got into, and now it is. Many of my old customers or new contacts and vendors are talking about recruiting from the logistics industry. So I really think it's on the colleges, number one, to open up and advertise about the opportunities in the industry. It's also up to the companies to go to trade shows or like colleges for college fairs to try to recruit the right, not to explain the opportunity in the industry. There is so much opportunity, but if a particular type of person isn't interested in what the industry has to offer, then you can't make them join it, right?
Yeah.
We can say we need more nurses. Well, you can have a male nurse, you can have a female nurse, or whatever, right? I've noticed there's a lot more male nurses in the industry, so there must have been something more on the marketing side of things that they started opening it up so that they would get more diversity in nursing. So same goes with our industry as well as any other, I would think.
Okay. How do you think COVID impacted women in this space? I think, we've seen that obviously a lot of the industries where women workforce is very prominent, like restaurant or food industry or retail, have been impacted by closures. So do you think in our space there was a positive or negative impact on women in general during COVID?
Well, for people with school-age children, let's focus on that.
Yeah.
I think it really just depended on what industry the parent was involved in and what role the parent took. We have friends out in Pennsylvania who have a small child. The husband happened to have gone to college to be a teacher. The wife did. She was a dental hygienist. He ended up being in the state police. I would say they probably share the responsibility, but depending on what the job requires of the person would depend on how it affected the mother or the father, or it could be two moms or two dads, right? I don't know that it affected our industry any differently than any other industry. For me in particular, I still came to work every day. We were deemed anybody in the transportation industry technically was an essential business. So it could have been negative in the fact that if you were an essential worker and your child was at home versus work, and that wasn't a good thing for you as a parent. However, if you were working from home and you were home with your child, then you had to teach your child from home. So I don't know that it affected our industry any differently.
For women who are considering jobs in our space, in the logistics space, what would you tell them? What would you share, or what advice would you give them to kind of push them in our direction?
Sure. Well, I mean, there's so much opportunity in our industry. It's very exciting. It's very energetic. It's very fast-paced. I think there are tons and tons of opportunity. As far as women in particular, my advice would be to be strong-willed. It's the same advice really that I would give any industry. Be confident and don't take things too personally. Be confident with your decisions. Be smart in the decisions that you make. Figure out a path moving forward and do your best to stay along that path. Same advice I would give any woman in any industry, really.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Robyn. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and answering all these questions.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.